All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Litchfield Planning Board meeting of October 6th, 2020. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Seven, okay. Looks like we have 7 people, if I'm not mistaken. Is there anybody else that I missed? I see Kate. Kate, okay.
Jay.
And Jay, yes, I see Jay. Hello, Jay. Okay, we have a full board this evening. I don't think I'm going to call alternates. I don't think we have to appoint any alternates. I think we're all full members. So I'll go with the roll call of members present. Michael Croto, Chair.
Kimberly Queen, Vice Chair.
James Buffetti, member.
Josh Smith, member.
Kevin Lynch, Selectman Rep.
Ron Stevens, member.
Kate, if you want to introduce yourself.
Kate Stevens, member.
Okay. Great. All right. First order of business, public input on non-agenda items not on the agenda for this evening. Are there any members of the public who have anything as to non-agenda items? I'll open up the floor at this time. And if anybody? Okay. Okay. Oh, we got one.
It looks like there is no one here to speak to that.
Okay. All right. If there's nobody to speak to non-agenda items, I will close public input on non-agenda items and go to the first order of business this evening. Hudson Logistics. Is Mr. Dean, if I'm spelling this incorrectly, I apologize, Sakati on the?
Close enough. That's the right mispronunciation. It's actually Sakati. Thank you.
Saki? Okay.
Sakati, yes.
Sakati. Okay, sorry.
That's
From the saved, yeah, I know, I butchered that. Save Hudson, New Hampshire. Good evening. For the board, just so you know, obviously, we know that Hudson has a major project going on regarding a distribution center on the river, Merrimack River. I asked that the members of Save Hudson, New Hampshire they could have an opportunity to come in because of this is regional impact for this project and have an opportunity to speak to the planning board. Mr. Scotti, I will allow you to go ahead and give us your presentation this evening. So.
Okay, great. Is it possible for me to do a presentation share? On the screen where I could what I was planning to do is actually just navigate through a conversation as we sent material at a time, or I can share also to give you a couple of slides as we go through it.
Okay. Is that something that you think that would be okay, John, or?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Dean, on the bottom of your screen, you'll see the share button. Click the share button and then share your screen and it should display your content.
Okay, let me see if I can be that sophisticated. All right. You're now the presenter. I see that. And now I just need to figure out how to pull it up. Oh, here we go. I think I got it. Oh, there you go.
That's good.
All right. Okay. Let me go ahead and start off. I think what Joanne said is to spend 15 minutes just going through just some facts as we know them, and then spend 15 minutes answering any questions that you have, that you might have. Who am I? I'm Dean Sockety. I live at 11 Fairway Drive in Hudson, New Hampshire. I'm accompanied here tonight by Ed Thompson, who lives at 22 Burns Hill Road. In advance of this meeting, we provided some material. We provided a presentation, which I'm showing to you right now. We provided a letter from two letters actually, from attorney Amy Manzelli to Hudson's Planning Board, and the second was to Hudson's Conservation Committee. And then we provided 2 marketing brochures that Hillwood has produced themselves on Hillwood's website. Let me start off with just a quick introduction. We were surprised at the beginning of May. The town of Hudson residents learned of a proposal to develop the 400 acres of Green Meadow Golf Club into a massive 2.5 million square foot distribution center, with the developer's intent to break ground by the beginning of September, which is the month that just passed. So it was record time. Immediately, local neighbors, became very concerned, as previous proposed developers had spent nearly 2 years trying to develop a plan for development. What was more concerning to the residents, to those neighboring residents, was that we lost our local newspapers, the Hudson Litchfield News, and COVID was limited the word of mouth communication that happened at local social gatherings. So in response, concerned neighbors and residents of Hudson created an organization called SaveHudsonNH.org. It was created as a grassroots coalition of people that organized during the early stages of the pandemic to make sure Hudson residents would understand what was being proposed by Hillwood, the applicant, and potential developer. While we're committed to communicating objectively, the organization's goal is to save Hudson's valuable green space from being turned into an enormous 2.5 million square foot distribution center with what would most likely bring big traffic problems, pollution from diesel particulates, potentially contaminating the Merrimack River, and probable displacement of wetlands and wildlife in the process. The progress to date is that the team has created a website, newsletters, GoFundMe page, has over 4,000 petition signatories from Hudson and other towns showing support. It truly is a grassroots organization that's trying to promote knowledge during these times. There's another group that has sought legal action to aid in the effort, with over 50 residents and businesses who have hired Amy Manzelli of BCM Environmental and Land Law to represent their interests. But we're here today to provide a fact-based, objective overview of the project. Again, as we know it, I see that Hillwood's lawyer is present, and it's our intent to be fact-based, as objective as possible. We'll distinguish what we know as fact or has been depicted to us versus what might be our opinion. And that's really a tenor that we've tried to strike throughout our communication. To be objective, education. We truly believe that knowledge aids in better decisions. The overview of the project: the Green Meadows Golf Club is situated along the Merrimack River in Hudson, and has been identified as the location for the proposed Hudson Logistics Center. Hillwood Enterprises, a development company based in Texas, is planning to build 3 high flow through distribution centers. The facility combined would be 2.5 million square feet, which is equivalent to 2.5 Pheasant Lane malls, with 363 cargo docks and 842 truck stalls. 2 of the larger buildings are intended to be occupied by Amazon. The smaller building, they say, Hillwood has said is not currently under agreement. Hillwood anticipates creating 2,500 jobs. 1,400 of those would be direct jobs. The remaining would be indirect, with an hourly wage of between $15 and $17 an hour. What is a logistics center? I think we've all learned a tremendous amount about what logistics centers are and how they interact. It appears that this Hudson Logistics Center is designed to perform as a cross-docking distribution center. What's that mean? It's a pure distribution facility with no or little storage function. Simply put, these facilities receive inbound inventory from suppliers and directly transfer the inventory into outbound flows to other distribution centers within a very short time frame and with limited warehousing. This inventory typically spends less than 24 hours in the distribution center, and sometimes less than an hour when parcels are involved. Now, again, this is based upon our research. We've footnoted where we got this research. There was a presentation by Hillwood at the first meeting, but it really inspired us to learn more about what this truly is. We obviously, as residents of the town, have our own concerns. We are concerned about noise, pollution, light, all kinds of other things. But what we believe impacts other neighboring towns is probably most pronounced is traffic. And while much remains unknown, it is safe to assume that trough traffic will be significant with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days per year operation. Hillwood specifically cites on their website, I'm going to quote this, approximately 150 to 200 tractor trailers and 35 to 50 box trucks, commonly used by many companies to make deliveries, will travel to and from the logistics center each day. The vast majority of the trucks entering and exiting the Hudson Logistics Center will come directly from the Everett Turnpike on Sagamore Bridge, 2 simple turns in both directions, unquote. Using Hillwood's estimates of 250 trucks per day, this would result in 1 truck going in and out of the facility every 3 minutes around the clock. Now, this is our opinion, again, separating fact from opinion. Our opinion is the true capacity of these facilities could result in greater numbers, just taking into account that there's 360 some odd, let me go back to the numbers, hang on a second, is with 300 and, I'm sorry, hang on one moment. I just want to make sure I get the facts exactly the way they're stated. Sorry, I've lost the fact. It's 863 trailer parking slots and 360-ish docking stations. The numbers could be far, far greater. The exact numbers, let me rephrase that. 363 cargo docks and 842 truck stalls. With those numbers, we believe that the actual number of trucks coming and going could be something far greater. And if we just applied some basic math, that 24 hours a day with 363 cargo docks, that could actually result in 8,712 vehicles coming in or out of that location on a given day. Now, this seems like a super high number. That's assuming 1 hour of turnaround time. The industry standard is 33 minutes. So in our opinion, it's, the whole equation with this type of facility is optimization and efficiency, trying to move inventory through the facility so it can go through to the next destination. So, in everyone's mind, they have to somehow, the bid-ask spread there is somewhere between what Hillwood has said, which would be 250 trucks per day, or this more optimized or maximized model, which would get you to around 8,000 vehicles a day. What's a bit concerning as well is that the developer has conceded that the tenant has no control over incoming or outgoing trucks. So once they leave the facility, they travel without constraints. There's questions that remain around, where do they fuel? Where do they eat? Where do they sleep? Where do they park? Where do they break? What routes do they take? These are all concerns. And then there's also the notion of induced traffic, which is that as you build more highways or more capacity to handle traffic, which you would actually wind up doing is attracting more traffic, which further complicates, what we believe to be the story. There was a recent traffic peer review that is not final. It's still in the form of thoughts, which drew several observations. This is by VHB. I think many of you may know Martin Kennedy. I'm just going to read a couple quotes. And one is that we concluded that the site-generated vehicle trip estimate provided in the originally submitted traffic study, which preliminarily relied on the user's information, was low. I'll repeat that, was low, right? Which again gives us pause and it starts to make us wonder whether the high estimates are the right estimates or whether we stick with, what the developers propose. Next quote, rather than improving traffic operations, some of the proposed mitigation actions exacerbate the corridor's traffic problems, unquote. And then lastly, he states, quote, so at this point, I think it would be best to hold off on any further review until we hear back from the applicant as to whether they will be revising their evaluation, unquote. So our conclusion, again, is that we have to assume, a worst case scenario, because that's eventually what the facility can handle. And we have to assume that traffic spills throughout the region, that it travels like water to the least congested and most direct routes. If you look at Hillwood's advertising brochures, they show for the facilities, for A and B, there's one brochure, for C, there's another brochure, and they show concentric circles on what the reach of these facilities are for trucks trying to make deliveries or to reach presumably other destinations. They're not direct points from one location to another traveling on any specific route. They're circles that would, to me, radiates and creates concern that basically traffic will move in every single direction on every single road as long as there's capacity. Then if it's not the trucks themselves, then it's other traffic that's trying to avoid the roads that the trucks are on. Other concerns, one only needs to do a Google search on distribution centers in the news to find numerous articles regarding the challenges that host towns have had with these facilities. One example is Milford, Massachusetts they just have one of these facilities, not three, and the impact on Milford specifically and neighboring towns has not been positive. And their chairman of their select board had come out. He's no longer the chairman. Buckley is his name. Came out and said it was not worth the benefit. So again, this creates pause for residents that are trying to become familiar with what's happening here. Lack of fueling capabilities means the trucks will be, scattering randomly, looking for fuel, or as I mentioned, food or other types of things. I think other towns, as they think about what the impact is to them, they have to look at it the same way Hudson does. Presumably, Hillwood's currently going through a fiscal review, looking at what the impact of police, fire, EMTs, et cetera, are. Neighboring towns will be affected with the same thing if there's any spillover from the facilities. Some of the concerns that other towns that have been spoken with, what they have had, if we could, share that with you, not by name, but they basically, their concerns have been around, what's the timeline? What are the milestones? How do we assess where the town is at? How do we provide input? They, very specific, obviously traffic concerns everyone. A lot of towns want their own studies. They're thinking about, how are trucks being fueled? What's the control over the trucks? What type of controls would the town of Hudson add or impose? What are the logistics for neighboring towns to participate in this process? And those are just the general questions that they have had. So really, in concluding, it's our hope that you'll join those concerned Hudson residents and help protect all our communities from the proposed Hudson Logistics Center. Together, we can save the impact to our region with a healthy, critical review. For more information, please visit savehudsonnh.org, a website committed to objectively sharing information pertaining to the proposed development of Green Meadows Golf Club. And again, it's our intent to be a resource for you and your town. If you have any questions or need to run an idea by us, we can independently render a view, both pros and cons. We've really tried to look at this objectively. And at the end of the day, we believe informed decisions are the best decisions, the best for our community. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the board have any questions? Concerns? Mr. Buffetti?
Any idea where these trucks would be coming from? Are they coming from airports?
So we, again, back in the opinion category, because we don't know, I don't know the answer to that, is that our assumption would be that they'll come from, I think what we've heard Hillwood say is that they'll be coming from like manufacturers or wholesalers to these facilities. And they've never mentioned airports. However, Amazon being the tenant just built a hub, I believe, in Cincinnati. So there would have, I would presume, my presumption is that there would be airport traffic, and I would expect that Manchester would be a recipient of that.
Right, because traffic of that volume, I mean, it seems like it does have this effect, as you talked about, where it spills over. I mean, if you have that number of trucks that are coming in, they're coming from somewhere, and they're all focusing on this one destination. I mean, it seems like a huge regional impact, and it's much more than Hudson and the surrounding towns. It could have effects on interstate highways all through New England. If you have that amount of traffic, I don't know where they're coming from. I mean, I can say for Litchfield, my concern is that if they are coming out of the Manchester airport, the temptation to come down 3A, because as you said, they have no control over what truck routes that they use, and they're going to find the routes that are going to be the easiest, the fastest, the less traffic, or that other people are going to use those routes to avoid the congestion on the Everett Turnpike. But, my concern is that the amount of traffic that would be coming down from the Manchester airport through Litchfield could be substantial. And I don't think there's any way of predicting that. And I don't think doesn't sound like anyone can provide any sense of guarantees that in fact isn't going to happen, and that the quality of life in this town would be quite substantially affected in adverse ways.
I mean, that's what's caused us concern, right? And it was sort of this hastiness of, announce the project, we're going to be live in 5 months, breaking ground for construction. And that's what really called us to really become engaged, because the traffic has all the potential to be absolutely massive given the size of these facilities. I just in the last 3 weeks, I was driving down I-95 in New Jersey, and you could see a Wayfair facility and an Amazon facility, and I'm assuming they were the same size, if not maybe a little smaller, but I don't know. It's just my own opinion. Is they're lit up at night? They're very, very busy, and the whole goal, is optimization and efficiency, right? And we demand it as customers. We obviously demand it, but what the impact is to the region, I think there's two dimensions to it. What will the impact be? What's the real number? And not only what is it today, but what will it be in 5 years, 10 years? How's this grow, mushroom, blossom?
Right. I mean, it sounds like that they're saying that the traffic would be coming off the Everett Turnpike and just coming right in to the facility. If you're having these big trucks every 3 minutes, I mean, does anyone seriously think that that's what's going to happen? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me that amount of traffic could be accommodated in that small section of highway, and they will look for other ways to get into the facility, or that will be almost impassable for people who use that on a regular basis to get onto the highway or to go to the mall in Nashua or whatever they're doing. I mean, I think it has adverse effects for that mall. I don't know how much the city of Nashua has looked at this, but it would seem to me that that's going to be so congested in that strip that people will simply be discouraged from going into that area to shop because they can't get there with the traffic that's going to be coming in and out of that logistics center.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. And, what we didn't talk about either was commuter, traffic going to the facility. So again, with an estimation of 2,500 jobs, that's also traffic coming in and going out of the facility. I know when the, and this is, there's been a lot, I think, that still remains unknown. We obviously, being residents, probably look at it a little bit overly skeptically, but we recognize, we live in the traffic every single day. So we have, that's our job, is to look at it skeptically, right? And to try to assess what the impact will be to us. When the Lifestyle Center was being proposed, they tried to build a ramp. Their proposal was to put a ramp directly on to the Sagamore Bridge, which, would seem like a much more, a much more conducive flow of traffic. But still, the quantity of traffic we're talking about and the size of these vehicles is, in my mind, in my opinion, again, Justin, I want to be respectful, being the lawyer for Hillwood, being on the line, is astronomical.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin Lynch, I'm Selectman Rep, and you're in the area where the circumvention highway was supposed to come down to loop Hudson completely to alleviate the traffic going through Hudson and everything else. Now, this is going to add more to the Lowell Road because the circumvention is not ready yet. Okay, so I don't know how that's going to work. And because that circumvention is supposed to pick up at the bridge and go all the way around, pick up 102 and 111. Pick up the traffic there to make it work. That's why the state bought the land, the rights to that. So it's time, if this goes in, that's going to be that's the whole purpose of that whole thing, was to get some of the traffic off the Lowell Road. Is not going to be able to handle this at all. If you cross the bridge now, a lot of folks, they travel to Massachusetts to work down through there.
Right.
And you go down there and you come back up there, the Lowell Road is hourly. It's miles of just dead traffic. So there's the regional impact here is not only for Hudson, it's for Litchfield, Nashua especially. I'll be honest, Tingsboro. Okay, and it's going to affect even north in the town of Litchfield because of the airport and I-93. Okay, now they're trying to get to the Everett Turnpike on the other side, where they just put the bridge to the airport. All that's going to affect that whole distribution. There's a lot of trucks that go in there. We got 2 distribution centers up in Manchester right now. Okay, they just opened up. They're big for plumbing. And I can't remember the other guys, but there's a lot of truck traffic coming out of there. But it's more locked to the highway because it's just going to that center. And then there's smaller trucks that come out. But if I'm hearing this right, the big trucks bring in the supplies, the little trucks go out and drop it off. You can get pizza that way. Okay. I'm just saying, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
That's our belief.
So I have a question.
And part of our goal here is we recognize, during this process, just kind of contrasting it to when the Lifestyle Center was being proposed in 2006 through 2007, is a lot of towns, I think, as to what I heard, was a lot of towns actually came to Hudson's planning board meetings to actually participate and to learn. Obviously, being in a COVID environment, everything's challenged. So we just wanted to get the word out so that everyone, again, informed decisions are the best decisions. And let people, if people support it, great, thumbs up. If people are against it, then they should absolutely voice what they think the future should be for our communities.
DOT is the one hurting the most, and that's going to be us, the taxpayers, on the road work.
Yeah, so I have a question about that in the spirit of being objective. So it seems like the traffic impact's going to be substantial. I would agree with that. And I'm wondering what's in it for Litchfield at all? I maybe more jobs, but those jobs don't really seem high wage quality jobs. what's a pro for Litchfield? And kind of a question, a corollary to that is where does Hudson's planning board currently sit with their opinion on this matter?
So from my opinion, again, is that the Hudson Planning Board is trying to be objective, and they're trying to listen and learn as much as they can. There's been a lot of probing questions. Being a resident, I wish there were more probing questions, but that's my own, we all carry some, unconscious biases. I personally think of the size of this project, there should be an absolute, it should be endless questions. I mean, there's just so much, it's so massive. This is the largest project, I think, in the state of New Hampshire. I mean, this is absolutely massive, right? So it's very ambitious, and there should be tons of questions. So our planning board is going through the steps, what they're trying to do. And I think, is they're addressing specific issues at specific meetings. So the last meeting was fiscal. The next meeting will be traffic. And that's in the third week of October. So they'll go through that. And the planning board's been considerate, letting residents, voice their concerns. I actually think it's strengthened the process, because my hope is that people like me, people at the Save Hudson NH.org, organization, they bring a perspective, they bring questions. And I think these questions are healthy, because at the end of the day, what you don't want is the frustration that a town like Milford, Massachusetts had. You don't want to start something that you can never unreverse. You can't reverse these things, right? So
we're not going to realize any revenue from this. I'm just wondering, is the lawyer for Hillwood here? Like, why would we?
Justin Passe, is here.
Yeah, I'm just asking, what is a pro for Litchfield to support putting a logistics center in Hudson?
Hello, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
So my name is Justin Passe. I'm a lawyer at Donnie Tucker and Shindella in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I am here tonight on behalf of Hillwood Enterprises LP, which is the developer proposing the Hudson Logistics Center. So there's a lot of information, a lot of questions out there right now that are being addressed. I do have some remarks I would like to make. I'm happy to address the global question that was just raised about the benefit to Litchfield, and I would just posit, while noting that there are materials that we've presented to the planning board in Hudson and provided in the public spectrum as well, about the significant fiscal impacts that will be resulting from this project, about the generation of jobs and revenue, which benefits not only the people of Hudson, but also the region writ large, and which is a big step forward for this area of New Hampshire. So that's probably not the granular response that you'd want on that specific question, but I am happy to go through a few of our thoughts with regards to the process tonight. And we're very thankful to be here and to have the opportunity to address the board. As the planning board is aware, this project was deemed a project of potential regional impact back in May by the Hudson Planning Board. And so I would just note at the top that I'm happy to be here and happy for the board's indulgence tonight to chat with you about this. And my intention, our intention right now is not to try to offer a line-by-line rebuttal to what Mr. Socrates just stated, or to provide expert conclusions on sophisticated issues. Frankly, we're going to save that, and we have been saving that for the Hudson Planning Board, where several Hillwood consultants and experts are offering opinions, and those opinions are being peer reviewed, and they're being subjected to the scrutiny of the public and the Hudson Planning Board. What I do want to do tonight, what I hope to accomplish, is to point out the process and the review that Hillwood is undergoing in Hudson and before various state and regional entities. And I'd like to also respectfully address some of the assertions that are being made not only to Litchfield, but to other area towns by SaveHudsonNewHampshire.org and Mr. Stockady. And then to advise the board what we hope to do and what our intention is to file a brief fact-based sheet regarding the Hudson Logistics Center proposal that will address some of the core issues that are being addressed and raised tonight in front of you all, and any other issues, frankly, that the Litchfield Planning Board may be interested in. And I think foundationally, there are certainly disparate perspectives on this project and this type of project from all different sides, which is understandable and it's appropriate. But one thing I think we all can agree on is that discussing accurate information is of the utmost importance, because it's only discussing accurate information that a true and informed opinion on these sensitive issues will be reached. And to that end, I know that the planning board is served well by the town of Litchfield's planning staff and by Jay Mancara at the Nashua Regional Planning Commission, who is very familiar with the underlying project. So very briefly, with regards to some of the issues, specifically traffic that was raised tonight, and I think that was one of the more prominent assertions that Mr. Sockety made. The suggestion here is that the Hudson Logistics Center will contribute upwards of 9,000 trips to the region's roadways on a daily basis. And there's no way to say this other than that's simply not an accurate projection. It's not consistent with the type of distribution center that's being proposed. And in fact, that figure is really 30 times higher than what Hillwood is actually projecting. The reality here is that Hillwood's engineers have performed, as you would imagine, a traffic impact study, which depicts significantly less, to a 30 times degree, traffic impact. And Hillwood is working with the town, with DOT, with the town's peer review engineers to develop the very best mitigation plan for the development. And just last week, DOT completed its preliminary review of Hillwood's traffic impact study and its supplement traffic impact study. And it concluded, as it relates to the methodology and the adequacy of Hillwood's projected traffic volumes, that they are acceptable and suitable for design purposes. So certainly, more review by DOT will occur, more review by the town, and the town's peer reviewer will be done. And ultimately, all of this will be presented to the planning board, who will make the ultimate decisions, and all of it will be subject to the scrutiny of the public. But suffice to say, Hillwood is squarely focused on considering traffic concerns from the public, on working not only to mitigate the Hudson Logistics Center's projected incremental traffic, but also rectifying existing issues on Lowell Road and in 3A in the surrounding area. These things are actively being pursued by Hillwood's consultants and experts, and actively being discussed and vetted through the local and state process. So again,
Justin, if I could just ask a quick question. Are you asserting then that traffic's going to be better because of these mitigation techniques that you are proposing?
I'm asserting that Hillwood's consultants and engineers are engaging a process, and that we have every expectation of not only addressing in a manner that's required and appropriate for this development and any development in Hudson or any town in New Hampshire, addressing the incremental traffic that will be caused by the development, and also addressing existing problems in the vicinity. And that is the charge of any developer who comes to propose a development in Hudson or anywhere else. That's the standard, and it's not another standard. So again, I think accurate information is very important, and we do not project a traffic impact to Litchfield as a result of this development. And we do project, as I think was noted by Mr. Sockety, that the full presentation on these issues, which we acknowledge are sensitive and important, will take place on October 21st. And I think that the planning board, and to the extent that members of the public are engaged in this process, they should tune in for that presentation and address and assess for themselves the efficacy of the process that has been undertaken and the conclusions that will be advanced by Hillwood at that time. Another assertion.
Justin, what I would add to your statement is the fact that I think, if, as we've said from the onset, if neighboring towns are engaged and asking the questions of Hillwood, then we have done our job to help just shape the public awareness. And which,
yeah,
which I assume you're very much in support of. Is that right, Justin?
I'm in support of the process that has been undertaken, as I mentioned, which is that the planning board in Hudson declared this as its first act in reviewing this project, a development of potential regional impact, which makes Litchfield and the other surrounding towns of Hudson, essentially elevates them to the status of abutters at this process. And we are happy, Hillwood is happy, as I suggested at the top, to engage discussions, answer questions, and we intend on providing information to just shed some light and accuracy onto some of the assertions that are being made on these big issues like traffic and the environment. And speaking of the environment, one of the assertions that's been made tonight and in other presentations by SaveHudsonNewHampshire.org is that the Hudson Logistics Center is going to pollute the Merrimack River or surrounding towns with airborne particulates or negatively or otherwise negatively affect the environment, wildlife, etc. And I think, again, accurate information here is critical. And to be clear, Hillwood does not project an environmental impact to the town of Litchfield, and it remains vigilant and sensitive about the environmental impact caused by this development. As you can imagine, again, a process is underway here. For example, Hillwood has presented an air quality study to the planning board in Hudson, and that study confirmed and held that the Hudson Logistics Center will meet or exceed all applicable standards and regulations according to regarding air quality. Hillwood has also met with the Lower Merrimack River Advisory Committee and engaged a very productive discussion with them. They are ongoing in their presentation regarding wetland and wetland buffer impacts to the town's Conservation Commission. And it has taken significant steps to ensure that this, approximately 375 acre site is developed in a way that has the least amount of impact as possible to the environment and to the wildlife. And just as a simple example, as I noted, this is remarkably a 375 acre site. And of those 375 acres, there is less than 3 acres of proposed wetland and wetland buffer impact. And the vast majority of that impact is caused by the access road itself, not the development. So obviously, this project is still being reviewed. It's being reviewed by the town's Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, New Hampshire DES. But Hillwood has really worked hard to propose a development that has the least amount of environmental impact possible. So there will be full presentations. Again, Litchfield has the status of an abutter in this proceeding, in these proceedings. And we encourage the town to engage that process, and we are happy and remain open to discussing the implications of this development and providing whatever information the town is looking for. So I would like to once again thank the board for its time tonight. I do have John Grace on board here from Hillwood, a Vice President of Development, who introduced himself earlier at the beginning of the meeting here. We don't have a full contingent of experts and engineers, but to the extent that we can answer questions, I'm happy to. Otherwise, as I know, we do intend on providing a supplement, a writing to the board to address some of these more global concerns, and we look forward to a continued conversation in the future.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr.
So can I ask, at this point, can you identify any impacts at all to this town of Litchfield from this development, if it happens?
No impacts to the town of Litchfield are proposed or are contemplated this time as a result of this development.
None. No impact whatsoever on the town of Litchfield. That's what you're telling us.
Well, I'm telling you that that's our presentation and our posture before the town of Hudson, and the expert data and analyses that we've put together are what they are. And I think they're self-evident. They are what they purport to be. And certainly with a full bevy or contingent of experts or more specific questions, we'd be happy, sir, to get you any answers you're looking for. We're focused on right now the site itself, which I would note is a site that has been specifically identified by the Nashua Regional Planning Commission as the best possible opportunity for industrial development and has been zoned that way for decades. We're focused on complying with the town's regulations, beating the review process, and engaging the state in the various entitlement processes that we have to at that level too, and then being as transparent as possible. So it's hard to answer a question of that nature. If you have specific questions, again, I may not be the guy to answer them, but I'm happy to vet them, and we will be providing additional answers to the town.
Well, so, I mean, I understand that that you may not be able to give us all the details, but I can't imagine at this stage that you've thought about this and that you can't tell us or identify any impacts adverse to the town. I mean, it's one thing to say that you would mitigate impacts, but I would like to just identify what those impacts would be. It's hard to believe that a facility of this size and with the traffic, whatever that turns out to be, and it would change the use of that land significantly, that there would not be some adverse impacts to abutting towns. And the fact that you can't identify those concerns me.
Sir, all I would say is that as part of this process, we are reviewing and complying with, to the greatest extent possible, the regulations that apply to me. I don't know what you're referring to by adverse impacts. The two big things that have come up tonight are traffic, and I would suggest that we are working closely with the state, with the town, and we'll be presenting to the planning board our traffic projections. We find them to be reasonable and consistent with the use that is being proposed. And the other issue that has come up tonight is the environmental concerns. And I would posit to the board that our data and our work to date has shown that we will meet or exceed all applicable regulations and expectations when it comes to environmental concerns. So that's our position tonight. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, it doesn't, because it doesn't identify the impacts. You're talking about mitigating impacts and complying with certain standards. I'm saying I would like you to identify the adverse impacts on the town of Litchfield, because it stretches credibility to suggest that there would be no adverse impacts to this region from this kind of a project. So you can say, yes, we will work to address the traffic concerns because of the increased traffic. We will do this and that. That's mitigation. I want to know what those adverse impacts are. And it's hard to believe that at this stage that you and your clients haven't identified what those impacts are.
I just think that probably the most productive way to move forward are certainly with regards to specific concerns that the town may have, specific concerns about perceived adverse impacts, that we engage a communication, a dialogue. I think that's probably the most productive way to discuss things moving forward. And I know that Hill would be very happy to address those comments and concerns and to treat them with the respect that they deserve.
Great. So I would request that your client provide us with his estimate of any adverse impacts on the town of Litchfield. I thought we were, in fact, tonight engaging in that dialogue. It sounds like that's not what we're doing, but that we were engaging in the dialogue. And so we can continue the dialogue, but I would think that it should be possible to identify what those adverse impacts are. Then you can talk about how you're going to address that and mitigate those, but at least be transparent enough to address them in the first instance. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I appreciate the comment, certainly.
And please identify perceived benefits.
Correct. Correct.
Yes, just curious, when is the next meeting of the Planning Board of Hudson? Is it the 21st
21st of October,
at 7 o'clock? Is that in
Yes.
their town hall,
the community center
community center?
on Schoolscape Street. Yeah.
Okay. It's just surprising to me that, and I'll just make this comment before I move on. It's just surprising to me that we only received one notice for regional impact when something like this has the potential of impacting an entire region. Now, you may be going by the letter of the law, and I understand that, but even still, I think it would have been, I think for the town of Hudson not to at least give us a little bit more input into this, I think is a little, I don't know. Unfortunate, yeah. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. But anyway, jurisdiction is correct. But anyway, so what possibly some of us can maybe attend that meeting if it's possible on the 21st. And, we could do a letter to the town of Hudson to address some of our concerns. I think that may be appropriate under these circumstances. And I'd be happy to do that and work with you folks to put that together. I want to thank, yes.
Can I just jump in real quick? So I actually, because we had talked about this about a month ago, I have been watching the planning board meetings on this from Hudson.
Okay.
And from what I can tell so far, and I don't want to give, I'm not going to say this is an exhaustive list, but the major impacts to Litchfield are traffic and basically affordable housing, because they're saying that all of these jobs is not, since the employment rate is so low in Hudson, it's apparent that most of those jobs, the people working at the center are not going to be living in Hudson because of low employment rates. I don't know how that has changed over the past 6 months, but that was what some of the studies had said. And the fiscal impact was, and the peer reviewer agreed, was actually positive for Hudson as far as tax revenue versus town resources. The traffic has not, and the reason why I haven't said anything yet to our board about it is because the major thing was traffic, and that meeting is not until the 21st. So there wasn't really that much to report from our end, but
Kate, I'm sorry.
they did.
The results of the traffic impact study are coming out on the 21st?
The client has the study. I haven't seen a peer review study to it, and that's where, and so that study is posted on the Hudson Town Board or a town website, but that is not, it hasn't been presented yet. So it's a 450-page document. I've skimmed it, but I wanted to see the presentation and really get the better understanding of it through the presentation. So, but at least the executive summary says that with the improvements that they would propose to 102 and around the intersections near Walmart and Sagamore Bridge and all that, basically by majorly expanding those intersections, they would actually improve the traffic flow in that area compared to before the logistics center, because of the major improvements made to that area. Now that doesn't prevent trucks driving down 3A, like additional trucks driving down 3A from the airport. That just means that those intersections won't be so congested, supposedly, according to this, according to the client's study. And they also, this DOT, state DOT also came back and asked that they provide a holiday trip generation estimate, because the holiday traffic is supposed to be much higher than October, which is when this traffic study was done in October last year. So the state did ask to see the proposed increase in those traffic. If they're, putting down all of this pavement for the holiday increase in people working there, then there's got to be more traffic, obviously, coming from whether they're coming, down 102, down 3A, at least as far as what would affect Litchfield. So really, there's not that much. I think that I think a lot of our questions will be answered at that October 21st meeting. But I'll be watching it at least, if that's what that was what you had originally said. You wanted us to be tuning in.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I see, I think this is Mr. Sakati. I see that your presentation is showing a lot of the big 18-wheeler trucks going in. How many of the small trucks, once they're loaded, go? Those Amazon minivans that are all going around?
So
Is that your number as well?
yeah, so the way we took the numbers, like just to reemphasize, because Justin Passe used the word assertion a lot, right? The numbers that we have, that I have used here, right, come from Hillwood's website. What hasn't come from there is my depiction of 8,700 and some odd, which is an analysis, which is based upon utilization of the number of truck stalls that they have available. You would have to go back. Hillwood can give you the most recent number. They broke it out at one point is what they thought would be cargo trucks versus box trucks. My opinion is there seemed to be some parts of that I didn't understand, and the numbers didn't seem to add up. Like there seems like there's a lot more big trucks than small trucks the big trucks coming in versus small trucks going out. I know Hillwood or Milford has had problems with gypsy, what they call gypsy drivers. I don't know if that applies to this type of facility or not. Again, there's just a lot of unknowns, but I think I would take, Hillwood and Justin Passe's offer. Now that he's communicated your status as an abutter, is I would ask all the questions, and to just get it out all in the open. So we all know eyes wide open, what this means to our community.
Yeah, I'd like to know the number of big trucks going in, and then the smaller little Amazon vans or smaller ones going out, the departures and arrivals, which I'm sure they're working on for the 21st. He's saying
Yes, go
yes.
ahead.
He's saying yes.
Kate, you had mentioned that they did a traffic study in October of last year.
Kate?
Sorry, repeat that?
Was
It
there-
cut out.
You said that there was a traffic study done or did?
Yes, by Hillwood.
that
And
was
it says it was, the counts were taken October of 2019.
before the outbreak of COVID, okay? The whole world's changed after that. You think every street has got an Amazon truck on it. Okay, so there's been a lot of increase because everybody's shopping online. There's a lot of that going on. So yeah, it's going to increase. They're just saying, just
Yeah,
logistically.
and a lot of
it
people
doesn't
aren't
make
going to
sense.
work. A lot of people aren't going to work now. They're working remote, so they're not on the road either.
Sure. Traffic.
From what I understand, it's not the Amazon Prime trucks that are going to be departing this facility. It's going to be the box trucks that you get a couch or fridge delivered on.
I don't mean to interject here. This is Justin Passe, Mr. Chairman. If I have may I have leave to just address that question?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So I won't speak with too long about this, but I will note that part of the presentation has been noted and sort of, I think, anticipated by the board tonight. On the 21st, we'll include addressing these comments, and there's discussions about this Milford, Mass facility. I would just point out it's an apples to oranges type consideration because that's a last mile facility. That's not what's being proposed for the Hudson site. But I do anticipate, Hillwood anticipates that as part of its presentation on the traffic impacts, that it will have an Amazon rep present or testifying, I suppose, remotely perhaps, that will be able to address with specificity in a manner that is far more articulate than what I'll be able to say, the specific use and function of this type of distribution center as juxtaposed to other centers in the area, to include the Milford, Mass, as well as the facility that was recently permitted in North Andover as well.
And the one thing I would add is Mr. Chairman, is Building C has not been determined what its facility, what's going to be occupied Building C. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the same type of facility, if it's a last mile facility, what it is. It's still it's undisclosed. I think it's just undetermined. But again, I'll leave it to Hillwood to answer
All
those
right.
questions.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm actually going to close discussion on this because we do have to move on this evening. I do appreciate all of you for coming out this evening and presenting to us, and some great feedback. And hopefully some of us will probably make it on the 21st of October to the meeting in Hudson. And as I said, I will present a letter to the town of Hudson, and the board can help out on that. And we can certainly address our concerns at that route as well. But I want to thank you all.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
And appreciate your time and attention.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too.
Okay.
Next on the agenda.
Yeah, that's right.
Try not to be pushy.
Yeah, I know. I could tell. All right.
Okay, we're shelving a storage.
Oh, yes, the removal of Kevin Lynch from the, no. No, that's not on the agenda. I'm sorry. That was a joke.
I know it's a joke.
You liked that, didn't you? No. All right. Number 2, Litchfield Landing Cooperative Map 2 Lot 1 replacement sign. Is the applicant present this evening?
Yes, I am. My name is Regina DeGraw.
Good evening.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. Can you tell us what your address is, please?
Yes, I currently live at 22 Horseshoe Drive, Litchfield, New Hampshire.
Okay.
I actually live in Litchfield Landing, and I'm also the treasurer.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Been there.
So we have, I think the board has copies of this as well. We have a sign permit or a sign replacement, a request for sign replacement. And this was presented for the Litchfield Landing Cooperative at 45 Horseshoe Drive, Litchfield, New Hampshire, map 2 lot 1. Now, Joan, has there been an application for a permit, or what's the story with this?
Yes, everything is in your site, the letter that they supplied and the 2 pictures, the old sign and the new sign.
So my understanding is this was a grant that was issued to them.
Right, they got a
and
grant to make a new.
To make it or redo their sign.
Right.
Is that the thing? Maybe you can provide us with a little detail on this project.
Okay, so I've lived here for a little over 2 years. I'm now the treasurer. When I was asked to join the board, I decided to take courses through ROC USA, which is ROC NH, which is resident-owned communities, and they're located in New Hampshire, up in Concord. So I went through the whole class, and then I realized there was so much grant money out there, and our community needed some rebranding or fixing up or cleaning up or whatever the word you want to use, because the curb appeal is very important. And the rebranding part is to take that old feeling of a trailer park, let's make it better. Let's try to improve where we live. Let's try to do things. And, everyone's on fixed income. So anyway, so I applied for this particular grant on rebranding, because our sign, when they became a resident-owned community in 2007, they didn't really have any money left. They didn't have money, but they had to put a sign out there. So they had this sign, and somebody in the resident, in the community, a member, made the little sign holder. So when we got approved, because of the letter I wrote to the board, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Sent out all the information. The members are so excited about knowing that we are actually pulling together and making it better. We want people to drive by and think we're more than just a trailer park. That's my goal. That's their goal. So I've already sent around a ballot, and the choice is green. The background green. The lettering will be white. They all want the white pole, so we're leaving the pole the same. We want to paint the pole white. The company I hired is out of, or I've contracted with right now, is out of Manchester, New Hampshire. They designed it. They can come in and install it. It's like really, really easy. And then we can actually start decorating it, make it look nice for fall. Maybe put a haystack out there, hang flowers, just to give everyone in the community to buy into it. So we got accepted for the grant. We got the money. I went around, I went out for bids, and then I called, my first call was to Peter Dion. And then he told me to call Joan, and I called Joan. She told me what I had to do, and I submitted everything. And so here I sit, hoping that everyone's going to say yes. I want it to be better here.
Okay.
We're trying. We're really, really trying here.
Well, congratulations on getting the grant. I guess that's
Thank you.
Have their signs up there too. Okay, and this is an improvement to that park. The group there, my experience when I worked here, is that group is trying to get together and get things going. They've had a water problem they're working on right now. We blessed some money to get some to a grant. We supported a grant for them for the water. So I think this is the great idea. Plus for your local emergency vehicles and stuff like that, they have trouble with street signs. This is better.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I have no problem with it. I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion on the table and I have a second. Do I have discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the new sign for Litchfield Landing Cooperative, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, abstained. All right, motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, 0.
And Kate too, she waved.
Kate, did you vote?
I
didn't hear
did,
you. Did you say aye?
yes.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure you were included. 7, 0, 0.
Oh, that was
Okay,
good.
all right. Well, thank you very much for coming in and good luck with redoing the sign and it looks good and we look forward to seeing it.
Okay, can I ask one more question?
Yes, go right
Do I
ahead.
have to do anything else, or can I call in and have the sign made and installed?
You need to get a.
Joan, what's the, did she have to pay fees for this or what?
I didn't charge any on a replacement.
Okay,
So she should be set because the planning board approves the sign.
Yeah. We got
Be
so
all
I
set.
guess you're done. You're all set.
Fabulous. Give us about a month to 6 weeks. I'll let everybody know and we'll be able to drive by and see a beautiful sign. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you and we look forward to
Really appreciate it.
do it. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right,
That was easy.
that was easy.
How fast you want this one to go?
Faster.
All right, moving on. Oh, yes, the removal of Kevin Lynch as, no. No, we're not gonna go.
Start it again.
You wanted some humor, I'm gonna get it. Sign application, Litchfield Storage, map 1, lot 18, 55 Charles Bancroft Highway. Is the applicant present this evening?
Yes, there he is.
Applicant for
Dana, speak up.
sign application, map 1, lot 18?
Dana's up there, but is
Dana,
Ellen?
unmuted?
Can you hear? This is Ellen Boucher from VAB Properties Litchfield Storage. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So we have this is a sign application, a permit that was submitted for this project. And Joan, I assume all the fees have been paid? and-
Yes, the fees have been paid, and because it's lit, abutters were notified.
Okay,
It did go to Jay, and the variance paperwork was on your site as well.
okay,
And it's right here and it's been approved.
okay.
It's on the
Yes.
Board of Appeals.
Kevin can get to the site.
And you want to get rid of me.
That's next. It's coming.
Gotta make this meeting go.
Yeah. So do we need a motion to accept the application or can we just go through the approval process
I
for the
think you can
sign?
just go for the approval.
Just
Hey, what do you
approval
think? Is that
process.
okay? Is it permissible to?
Just go to.
Just-
Yeah, you don't need a motion to accept. You can just go in and hear the.
It's not like a site
applicant.
plan where, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
So I guess I will ask the applicant just to give a brief overview of what's going on here and in terms of the sign.
Absolutely. As you know, we have a site plan, Litchfield Self-Storage at Charles Bancroft Highway. And we are proposing to put up a sign to make the public aware of where the facility is. And we have recently put up a temporary sign, which many of you may have seen, that is on Mech 1 lot 19. So it'll be similar to that, but a little nicer as it'll be a permanent sign.
And that's what they got the variance for, because it's an off-site sign. It's on map 1 lot 19, but they
Okay.
got that approved.
It's in front of the house. Yeah. Yeah, it's in front of the house. You can't see it out back of the house.
So my only question is,
Yeah.
what Was there a sign as part of the proposal for this?
No,
project?
the sign was
Oh, for
coming
the storage,
afterwards.
yeah,
Oh, it was.
It was not on the site plan?
it wasn't.
No.
Okay.
So this, I think, is, I think this was the next step.
Right.
For them
It is.
to do that.
Does
Does anybody have any
I'd like to,
questions?
I
Yeah, go
believe
ahead.
on the application, it does ask if we can do down lighting, like say light on the top that faces down.
That's what you're proposing here. It's all down
It would be a full cutoff LED. Supposedly, all that is minimizes light pollution instead of an uplight.
This,
Can I ask, is that light be on 24 hours a day, or is it just on until 11 o'clock at night or something like that?
I would say we'd have it on during all dark hours.
So it'd be on all night?
all night?
Yes.
Because I thought when,
I mean,
I thought when we looked at this project that there was a limited operation that the people who were renting the storage space couldn't access it beyond a certain time. Is that, is my memory correct about that?
I think I do recall that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember the hours, but.
Right.
Yeah.
we can very easily turn it off at that time too. I just thought only because it's a very dark area. I mean, if it's an issue, then that's fine. We'll just make sure it's only on during the nighttime hours that it's open.
Right. I mean, I know that when we reviewed this plan, that there was a lot of conversation at the board about the lighting and when it would come on. And I think that some of it is lighting that only comes on when somebody is in the area. But it seems to me that if there's no access, the customers don't have access to it, there's be no reason to light that sign up all night. I don't know if that's possible, but I think that makes sense to me.
It's possible.
Happy. We're fine with that.
Okay. All right. And I assume everyone had an opportunity to take a look at the, what is being proposed. For
A
the
nice
sign.
looking sign.
I think it looks
I don't know
great.
what's there now.
And they have zoning, the zoning approvals. And they have a letter from the zone, or a decision from the zoning board that was also submitted.
All right, yeah.
And that all requirements have been met. Anybody have anything else that they want to add? Any questions for the applicant or?
Mrs. Boucher?
Yes.
Yes. This is Kate Stevens, over the phone also. We, in addition to having the light turn off after hours, we try to ask the applicants to consider a light that is 3,000 Kelvin or warmer to also help reduce with the light pollution. And you should see that when you're picking out the lights, they usually have a warmth rating. That's like the warm light versus cool light.
Absolutely. I'll make sure the electrician installing takes care of that.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, do you have anything?
No.
Do you have any questions?
I see it's a two-sided sign, but I'm looking where it's going, but that's not a problem.
Wait, it's the north and southbound lane.
Well, it looks like it's going like, no, when they're leaving, they'll see it as well. It's not a problem. And if
Not a
it gets
problem.
damaged, they can flip it around.
All right. At this time, I'm going to open it up to public input. Is there any members of the public who wish to comment on this sign permit? Anybody?
Not seeing anybody raise their hand.
Okay, John, thank you. Okay, so hearing no public input, I'll close public input and bring it back to the board. What do we want, will of the board? Want to approve it?
You want Jim or I to go first?
You can toss, you can flip a coin, I don't care.
Motion that we approve it.
Okay.
With those recommendations.
With the down lighting and with as what the planning board has asked regarding the type of lighting, soft lighting,
And the hours.
and the hours of operation.
Yeah, with those conditions, I would second the motion.
Okay. So I have a motion, I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
I love that part.
abstained. Motion passes 7-0-0. All right, you
Good to
are
go.
all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
How come it's not done
Good
yet?
evening.
Okay. Next item of business, James Spots, Volunteer Recreation Commissioner, working with the New Hampshire Air National Guard to speak about improvements to Jeff Lane Ball Field. Is Mr. Spots on the Zoom or the webcast?
Yes, I'm here.
Good
Can I
evening.
go ahead and share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, you guys should see. You guys should see a diagram for image of Jeff Lane with some overlay on it. Right now, just before I get started, a quick question is 8:30 a hard stop for the meeting? No?
Well,
Okay.
I wasn't gonna say anything this time.
I'll make a motion that,
To remove Kevin? No. No, that's fine. I mean, we're fine. You can proceed.
Okay, I'll keep this short. So on the parking lot side of Jeff Lane, we're looking at basically clearing an area up to the tree line that exists right now. We'll fill that in with a 2-inch stone base and then 6 inches of 2-inch stone base, and then cover that with 3 inches of 3/4 inch stone. There will be 2 access points. This will be a 12-inch culvert pipe, and then this will be covered over. These access points will be about 12 to 14 feet wide. There's going to be some angle to them as they come off the highest point so that they don't collapse under the weight of vehicles. There'll be a small walkway on the second access point here on the north side of the road. That walkway will go directly over to the access point to the baseball side of Jeff Lane. On the baseball side of Jeff Lane, we're really looking at only taking this access point up to probably an area probably just about parallel with the road side of the playground. And then we'll just leave this undeveloped. We're going to go ahead and put the dedication sign that we have. We're going to put that up by the well pump. And then we'll do some basic markings for emergency vehicles to access the fields through the gates at the outfield. On the batting cages, we're looking at 2 60-foot by 15-foot batting cages side by side. These will be fairly simple. They'll be very similar to what's already at Dara Pond. They'll be basically a 4x3 of 4-inch galvanized steel fence posts, about 17 feet off the ground and about 4 feet into the ground. On this side, just off the image of the 60-foot field, we're looking at putting 2 bullpens side by side at a 46-foot mound. And then over here on the 70-foot field, we're looking at putting a bullpen behind the first base line and then a bullpen behind the third base line. One other thing I forgot to add about the batting cages is we're also going to put a conduit about 3 feet under the ground for electrical power in eventuality between the shed and the batting cages. We are looking at also having 2 scoreboards on either side of the concession stand and then a flagpole out here, basically equidistant between the 2 outfield fences, about 25 feet in front of the concession stand. Right now, the Air National Guard is targeting this project for the week of the dates of 6, 7, 8, and 9 November. So at this point, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Are there any questions while I have the slide up?
Joan, I assume this is on the agenda. The town is already, they're just looking for recommendations from the planning board.
It's just input, right?
Because the town
They're
is
looking for
already,
approval.
has approved it or whatever.
Yeah, I'm working with Troy Brown on this. So
Okay,
we're trying to get all the approvals in and then get the IRT submissions completed.
gotcha.
I had a question about abutters, if abutters know what's going on here.
Yeah, have abutters been, I'm just curious, has abutters been notified of this project and
They're aware.
they aware of it?
They're aware.
Okay.
They have been aware of it. I don't think we have not gone into this level of detail with either person, the people on either side of the parking lot. But we will before the project starts.
I assume that'll go before the Board of Selectmen or
They'll be coming before us.
Or a year
Okay,
before you.
because it's town land and what's happening here. This has been talked about for 3-4 years, been a little work being done on before yet. Just a matter of the ongoing. Right now, they're using the Air National Guard for the help. They got the equipment, they got things, they can get things done a little better. We're using them as much, it's volunteer-like effect.
Okay.
Okay? I do have to say one thing. Is this a Fenway Park ball field? It's got a straight edge on one side.
That was so we could fit the 60, 70-foot field in the limited space. So you got a high fence on that side.
Okay.
Not quite like the Green Monster, though.
Yes, Kim.
I
I'm
have
sorry.
two items. I thought once they were here before for Jeff Lane, the house, I don't know where the picture went, but the house to the left, the abutter, he did have a concern at
Yeah.
one point about the steepness or shrubbery or something on
Yes, I
that
do
side,
recall
like
that.
water damage.
Yeah,
So should Lou Karen maybe just take a peek at the, those pipes that were under the ground or any of that for water runoff or,
Drainage?
yeah, anything
Yeah,
like
we
that?
already, Lou is already working with us on this
Oh,
right
he
now,
is?
and he's
Okay.
doing his final statement.
But I do remember that a butter had a concern of maybe an
Yes.
angle off a hill or shrubbery or something.
Yeah, it's basically his driveway cracks over the culvert pipe,
Okay.
That's down farther.
and I think that's Dennis and Donna.
But they're going to be notified anyway, so they could speak up. Okay.
Yeah, they came out and they let me know their opinion when I was over there cutting down trees one day. So
You learn how to meet folks, didn't you?
does anybody have any further questions?
I have not known this has been going on for a while.
As I said, I think this project is pretty much, I know has been an ongoing thing. And when are they going to present this to the Board of Selectmen? Do you know, Kevin?
I know for sure.
Don't know. It's not on the agenda yet. Okay.
Probably soon, since November. It'll be next meeting.
Oh, next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't have anything. Anybody? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for presenting to us. Looks like you doing a great job, and look forward to the end product, I guess. When it comes out.
me too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night. Stay safe.
You do it as well. Thank you. Okay. All right, moving on to committee reports. Are there any reports from any committees? And I'll start with you, Kim.
You will. Let me find my notes here. Just give me a sec. The NRPC, we met on September 16th. We had election of the 2021 executive committee members, and I was elected, so as an officer, so thank you. There was a presentation on sustainable energy discussion. I think they were focusing on electric cars and buses, and talking about the number of parts and that kind of thing. It was very interesting, and there's going to be more research on that. The New Hampshire Department of Transportation, I think we looked at the 10-year project plan, just as a quick review. And also NRPC is working with the Green Meadows project for Amazon. And we'll wait to hear from them on that for regional impact. The Heritage Commission, we meet next Tuesday, October 13th at 7 PM. It'll be an online virtual meeting. Everybody's welcome to attend.
Great. Okay. Conservation met last Thursday in Talent Hall. Had an opportunity to actually go into Talent Hall for the very first time, so it was interesting.
What?
Yeah. The Capital Improvement Committee presented to the Board of Selectmen last week. The Board of Selectmen decided to adopt or approve the capital improvement plan that was presented.
Yep.
So that is basically before the Board of Selectmen, in the hands of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you.
And I don't have anything from LMRLAC, the Lower Merrimack River Local Advisory Committee. Although I have gotten a couple of emails, I don't know if we will be meeting for anything at the present time. And that's it. Anybody have anything else? Okay. That's it for committees. Approval of minutes for 9/15/2020 and reapprove 8/18/2020. Added information for bakery sign. Did everybody have an opportunity to take a look at the minutes? Have any questions, concerns?
No, I just got them tonight. I haven't had a chance to read them.
Okay. Would you like to read them?
I didn't read about the bakery. I thought we just approved it and it was hit
We
by
did, but I'll
mistake.
tell you about the bakery. in a minute.
Okay, yeah, because yeah, go ahead.
9:15.
The other ones look good.
So if someone wants to entertain a motion to approve the
Dates on them.
questions from September.
I'll make a, I'll make a motion to approve September 15th meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Do I have any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of the September 15th, 2020 minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 7-0-0. Okay, and I guess if you want to explain,
Okay,
Joan?
yeah, the 8:18 minutes, I just added a sentence stating that there was no objection to the bakery and there was no negative, let's see, was there something about the sign? Just a minute. The board questions lighting and sign. There were no issues about the sign. So I just added that.
So you added it, all right.
So if you just want
Well, I
to, I guess,
wasn't there.
approve them as amended.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve is amended.
all right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, do I have any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of the August 18th, 2020 minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed,
I wasn't there, so I'm off the list.
so you're abstaining.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Okay, I'm not opposed, but abstaining.
We're
Okay.
falling apart.
You weren't here, but you're opposing. Okay, that's good. All right. All right. Motion passes, let's see, 6-0-1. Okay. All right. Keep flipping back and forth here.
The next meeting will not be November 3rd.
Thank you.
Okay, well. No, I was
Busy too.
a little bit, everyone will be a little busy, yeah, I'm sure.
I know I'll be standing up a lot.
There is something that I did want to bring up under any other business, and that is our budget, the planning board budget. I don't know if you folks have been watching the
Oh, yeah.
budget committee meetings that have been going on. I know the last budget committee meeting, there was a suggestion by the chair of the committee to essentially remove $3,000 from the NRPC line. I got an email from Troy Brown asking for what would be the justification for not removing that $3,000? I did provide a response to Troy. I did reach out to Jay. He provided me with some input. And I did send a letter to to Jay, I think, not to Jay, to Troy Brown. He forwarded it to the budget committee chair, Mr. Cutter, and I think he did receive it, and I think I got a response today from them. They're just, I don't think they're, my understanding was that they're just trying to see what it is right now, what they're looking at in terms of, keeping it under the tax cap. And I know that that's by law, you have to do that. And I get that. I was a little concerned only because, we rely on NRPC. They are a huge asset to us. Jay is a huge asset to us. And obviously he's helped us out a lot with the capital improvement plan, as well as as our planning process. And it's difficult to justify because, we don't know what's going to be coming before us. I mean, we're a regulatory board. The development, can vary from year to year. So, I mean, it was very hard to say, how can we anticipate what's going to come down the pipeline? But I just wanted to throw that out there. Has anybody have any, if you make any comments or suggestions, have any questions? Is there anything that we need to tell the budget committee, you think, to justify us, and having them not to cut that line item?
Is there a timeline to get back?
Well, the budget committee is meeting this week. So, I can send something to Troy, just letting you know that we met tonight and we talked about it. And hopefully the budget committee will take what I presented, the recommendations that were provided by Jay that I presented to Troy, and he presented to the budget committee. So, Jay, do you have any comments to add to that? I know you haven't spoken a lot tonight. I'm sorry. And I know that I did speak with you about that. So.
Yeah, I think, not really. I think the only other thing I would just add is the work that we do every year on the master plan. We're typically doing one chapter a year. So that's a part of it as well. I'm not sure that was reflected. Probably one big difference in one of the things that the budget committee did note is the fluctuation from year to year, and in particular 2019. And part of the reason for that in 2019 was that we did the transportation chapter, and that actually most of that didn't get billed to the town because we absorbed it within our transportation budget. That was the reason why you saw a big fluctuation that year, but that's really the only other comment I would offer.
Okay. Well, just so you know, I want to thank you and NRPC for the great job that you did with the capital improvement plan personally, and for the great job that you do for the planning board. And we definitely support you. And certainly you are an asset to all of us here. So thank you for your work, your hard work, and we will continue to support you in that regard. So, all right.
Do I have to say thank you too?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's after we vote. That's after we vote on your removal. Which is right now. We're going to come up to that, but this is the next thing on the agenda. Didn't you know?
I apologize for making you laugh tonight.
Yeah. So with that, I don't have anything else. Joan, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Jay, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Okay. All right.
Kate?
Nope.
All right. Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
All right. You have a second. All right. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
I like to add, no, Mike.
Abstained? You're overruled. Motion passes 7-0-0. Thank you for joining us this evening. Get out and vote, and we'll see you soon.
Just
Thank you.
get it.